gardening. When we garden, we hate weeds, right? You guys hate weeds? I hate weeds. In fact, we invested time and a limit of savings to go to our backyard and to redo my backyard. We patched up an area and put some of that black, whatever that stuff is, down on the ground, and then we put mulch on top of it. To this day, there has not been a single weed that has birthed up from that protection that is there. But I got a little bit lazy, a little bit arrogant in my mulching skills. And over to the point, I'm like looking at it, over on the left-hand side, there was this little flowered area that I'm like, I've weed-eated it, I've sprayed it, and I'm just going to put mulch on top of it. And for 2 weeks, there was no weeds, and I'm like, yeah, I don't need that weed protective thingy. Until this last week, what showed up? Weeds. Weeds started to poke up through what I thought was squashed, what was protected, what was not going to come back. But the reason why the weeds came back on one side and not the other is because the roots of the weeds was the problem, not the weeds themselves. Because I could come along and I could start picking out the weeds, and what's going to happen if I don't put a protective cover to prevent the roots from making an entrance and growing? It's going to cause more and more weeds. Ladies and gentlemen, racism and poverty and the issues of inequality is a weed. And it pops up here, it pops up there, and all of a sudden, just like all the pastor friends of mine, they're like, okay, we must need to talk about this weed, and next week we need to talk about this weed, and this weed, and this weed, and all of a sudden, it's going to come back again and grow again, and it's going to keep coming up unless we go to the what of the issue? The root of the issue. Ladies and gentlemen, the root of racism, root of poverty, the root of all of that is not the topic itself, it is sin. It's sin. Racism is sin from the pits of hell. Poverty and riches are in itself, the love of that or the humbleness of it is from the pits of hell. Ladies and gentlemen, let me please beg you today to stop looking at surface topics of the world, and we need to go to the root. And the root of your life, the reason why weeds start popping up in your life, the reason why issues keep popping up, and the manures of life that keep popping up is simply this: because we have not protected ourselves from the rapid growing of the root. And the root will always be sin.